Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. I'm sitting here quietly. It's 3:20 p.m. on the 21st of January 2022, and I'm very tired because I danced last night for 4 hours. I was actually tired after only about 3 hours, but I kept going. I sat with a lady that was quite keen to befriend me, approached me twice and asked me towards the end of the evening, came over and actually asked for my phone number, which I thought was a tad unusual given we hadn't actually had much of a conversation really. She claimed to have met me before, but to be honest I don't actually remember, but it's possible that she has met me before. So I do meet a lot of people when I'm out dancing wildly, and I don't always take too much on board, especially when I'm frenetically moving energy through my body. But she seemed a very nice woman, and she asked my phone number, and then she kept trying to ring my number so that I would have her number logged in my phone. And then I said to her, "Oh no, I've got your number." And then she says, "Oh, come and sit with my friends." So I went to walk to the back of the dance floor to sit with her friends, and she was still standing there trying to work out how to get my number into her phone. And it was so sweet that she was so determined to have my number and have contact with me, to the point where she actually forgot that I'd walked off without her to join her friends. So it was a bit bizarre. Anyway, I realised what was happening. I thought, oh, she seems a bit confused. Probably was a little bit tipsy because it was the end of the night. So I went back for her and I went, I've got your number, it's in my phone. And I went, here, I'll ring you back. And then I rang her back. And then she was like, oh, okay. And she was really happy about that. And I actually thought that was sweet when someone really chooses you to the point almost of obsession, which is why I have a little bit of a red flag, because I get weirded out when people are a little bit overly keen on having me in their life, because of very bad experiences with people in the past, right? But anyway, I went with her and sat with her friends, and they were very nice people. They had actually been dancing with me during the course of the evening. So I recognised them, and I sat and just drank water at that stage of the night because it was like 1:30. Yeah, about 1:30 it must have been. I sat with them for half an hour or so, and then I said, oh, I really got to go now, I'm really tired. So I went home. But anyway, the lady's name was Donna, and she invited me. She was quite keen for me to come to the... she called it the Broadbeach Casino. I just call it the Gold Coast Casino, but it is on Broadbeach, so that's correct. And she said, oh, you must come, and dance there. It's wonderful there. And it was a bit strange how they were trying to lure me away to another venue, right? But it doesn't hurt to go to other venues. I haven't been to the Gold Coast or Broadbeach Casino and gosh, the last time was when I went with Tina and Doug in 2012, and it was so seedy and so crowded, and people were dive bombing on me, and I kind of had didn't have a terrible time, but I didn't enjoy it. And I'm such a creature of habit now, and I've got my little niche, my little spot, the casino, that I zealously guard like a dragon with her hoard, right? It's a bit weird. It is a bit weird that I'm don't really want to change and go to other venues now. I guess because it's my comfort zone, and I know that I'm well liked there in general. I don't have the vicious trolling and vicious women that used to slavishly harassed me for years, up until 2016, 17 now, and it's overall I get to just have a wild old time dancing till the point of exhaustion, and feel a little bit, held in high regard because I've been going there for so long. So, but anyway, I thought, well, I'll give my number to this lady, and I might go out with her one night to the Gold Coast Casino just for a change of scenery and something different. No harm, no foul. And anyway, I asked her what she did for a living, and she said she was an assistant manager in a pub in Beenleigh, which I thought was interesting. She said to me, "What do you do for a living?" And it's always very awkward when people ask me that, because it's hard to tell people, that I don't actually have an occupation or a job, and I'm a disability pensioner, and you look like you're a loser, right? It's awful is what it is. But as always, I adhere to my truth, right? So I was wearing all my silver jewellery that I've made, all my rings and my big earrings and this big breastplate pendant. And actually I had a couple of compliments. One man asked me, this nice Scottish man I met that I quite liked, but he chatted to me for a while, and then he hooked up with, well, not really hooked up, but met up with some other woman, and must have decided he liked her better. So, but anyway, he complimented me on my pendant, and I said, "Oh yes, I made it." I said, "It's made from a sterling silver bowl," and I cut it up and sanded the edges and decorated it. I hung a little collection of sterling silver rock crystal pendants off it. So anyway, he admired it, and then this lady Donna admired my jewellery. So I said to her, "Well, I actually don't work per se," I said, "but I make jewellery, and I'm hoping to start my own business down the track, but I've got a lot to learn still. I need to learn how to set bezels and set stones, and get better at soldering." So I said, "I've got a lot to learn." She said, "Oh, but that's wonderful." And I went, "Yes." I said, "I'm actually a disability pensioner." And she said, "Oh." And I said, "Yes." I said, "I got strangled 3 times after I left my husband, and it really impacted on my health, and I've never really fully recovered. Of course, I had my own, I didn't go into details about my childhood traumas that were the real source of all that cumulative trauma. But anyway, she looked at me with quite a bit of empathy. She was quite sweet. And she said, "No, it's good that you're making jewellery." And I said, "Well, I decided to make it at the beginning when COVID started, because I was worried how I'm going to survive this epoch and what my future's going to be like." And I said, "My health's never been very good," so I thought that was a way to just be super creative, and instead of worrying about dying every day with the COVID propaganda and evilness, I just got busy. So yeah, she seemed to be quite understanding of that. And then a little bit later, someone came past me again, some other man. Must have been when we were sitting up at the back of the bar, and he also asked me what I do, and I looked at my new friend Donna, and I said, "Oh, I make jewellery." And then she toasted me with she had a stubby of beer or something in her hand. She clinked my glass, so right answer. And do you know what? It is a nice feeling to be able to say, "Oh, I have a skill that I manifest," rather than going, "Oh, I'm a pensioner, I'm a loser, oh, I lost so much in life," which I did. But it's like, it's a nice feeling to have something that is positive and a little bit self-aggrandizing and building up the old self-esteem, right? Really, really is a different feeling when people look at you so differently. And of course, you know, I have lots of other feathers to my bowstring. I mean, I make these zany little podcasts, and I write about my life on vocal media, and probably bore everyone to death with that. I don't have a lot of big readership, so that's okay, because it's usually deeply personal trauma processing anyway. And I garden, and I dance. And yeah, I was feeling quite wistful looking at this nice Scottish man that kind of made a point. I noticed he did that. It must be a very British thing, because the ex-lover used to do that too. Go around the room and make a point of talking to every single person in the place. It's very extroverted and friendly and outgoing. Like, it's lovely. But yeah, he and his friend chatted to me for quite a while, and then they found some other ladies, and they kind of stood back near the bar and watched me dance all night. And I got annoyed about that, actually. I thought, don't try and groom me and seduce me and pretend that you're interested in me, and then just slack-jawed for the rest of the night. But I guess that's the nature of men. But I made a point when I left the casino, they were actually still there, and they were actually watching me talking to my new friend Donna and her friends. So I just made a point of just walking straight past, because I thought, fuck you, superficial friends, you know. I mean, Donna actually proved to be quite genuine, and actually came looking for me again and was adamant about having my phone number. But then, you know, it's like, after a lifetime of trauma, I have such serious trust issues. I still thought to myself, oh well, she probably won't ring me, you know. So I put her in my phone as Donna from the casino, and I put the 20th of January to make a note when we met, to make a point that I'll remember her. But I'll remember her anyway, because here's the ironic thing. I was looking at her when she first approached me earlier in the evening, because she looked very much like a former friend, or, well, really an acquaintance, another superficial friend I had from the Jewish community, whose name is Lynn Avrahami. She looked very similar to her, except, you know, she was like more chubby than I remembered, and I'm thinking, is that Lynn Avrahami? And I kept looking at her, because is that her? And I didn't actually, go up and ask her, because I thought, well, that's just odd. I haven't seen her in 20 or 30 years. Oh no, wait a minute. Last time I saw her, she was very, very sick with her celiac, and I actually visited her in hospital because she was seriously very, very ill. So yeah, that'd be about, oh gosh, I was still married to Michael then. Gosh, it was like 28 years I separated on the 1st of January 1995. So yeah, it must have been prior to that, maybe a year or two prior to that. So time's flown. So I actually did think it was her, you know. She was similar to me in age. And I thought, well, if it's her, I'll just say nothing. But anyway, when she gave me her name, it was a different name, and the similarity was striking. It's almost like being haunted by a doppelganger. It was quite weird. It was a very weird sensation. And then when she came to me later on in the evening, a few hours later, and asked for my phone number, I was like, oh, it's Lynn. She thinks she knows me. Well, she does know me. Well, she knows me from 30 years ago, right? So anyway, and then it was a different name. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a bit more comfortable with that then. Yeah, but it was unusual. It was very unusual. Very strange. But yes, I had a wonderful night. Alter Egos were playing, and I'm very fond of, the whole band are excellent. I like those men, but I'm very fond of the bass guitarist because I normally ham up and I have my fan and pretend to flirt, and sometimes I am actually flirting a little bit. But he knows I won't go there because, number one, too old for him, and number two, he's married to the most beautiful woman. I have seen her at one of his gigs, their gigs I went to at the Elephant. His wife came along. Stunning, beautiful girl, very, very beautiful. And so I knew not to ever go there because you just make a bloody fool of yourself, and why would I, So I got better things to do. I need to find a man that's interested in me, genuinely interested in me. Not like the Scottish man that came up wanting to, chitter-chatter and then flicks off with some other female, right? Oh, it's all so crass. But anyway, what happened was last night there was this woman. She looked a little bit similar to me. She was chubby, but bigger than me, blonde like me, and a bit cheeky, bit of that bikey chick vibe. And she was quite drunk, but oh my God, she decided she wanted Scott, the bass player, and was competing with me for him, which was funny because he knows he's safe with me, right? So when I flirt with him, it's like, it's not going anywhere. It's just a bit of nonsense and frivolity. But she was full on lifting her top up and, oi, I want you. And I was hoping the security guards would kick her out, but they didn't. And the reason they didn't was they were watching my reaction, and I was just rolling my eyes. She's just having a bit of fun. And he is a nice looking man and he's lovely. Like, why wouldn't you throw yourself at him? But she got so intense and so annoying and creepy. It got really creepy towards the end that I kind of said to her, I said, darling, he's never going to go with you. I said, he's married to the most beautiful woman. Like, you've got no show and a dog show, seriously. And she's like, but I want him. And she was fully obsessed. And he was, playing his bass guitar, being a professional musician and taking it in his stride. But in the end, I can't remember what he said, but he said to something that was quite cutting. And I just went, hammed it up along with him. But she was a pest. She really was a bit of a pest, absolutely. But it was kind of amusing too. And then I just turn away and keep dancing with my fan and just, stay out of it because, it's show business. The dance must go on. The players must play, the musicians must play, and the dancers must dance. And the sexual provocateurs must provocateur until they get kicked out because they're being a pain in the ass. But I actually was worried she might chase him as he left, and she did actually. She ran up behind him and grabbed his ass. And I was like, oh dear God. She was a real sexual harasser. It was actually quite comical. But anyway, before they left the stage, Scott leaned over to me and he said to me, oh, thanks for having my back, because he heard me say to her, look, he's actually married and he's a lovely man, he's not available. I think I said it to her a couple of times, but she just wasn't having it, And he said, oh, thanks so much for having my back, Tanya. He goes, I really appreciate it. I said, oh, no. I said, no worries. I said, I know you're married to a beautiful woman. I made that abundantly clear. I said, but let's face it, Scott. I said, you are gorgeous. And I said, who can blame a woman for throwing herself at you? I said, if you were single and available, I said, I probably would do the same. And he just looked and we went and laughed because he knows how I always ham up with him, And then I said to him, and also, I said, by the way, I said, you're a lovely person as well. It's not just your looks. I said, you're actually a lovely person and I appreciate that. And he was like, oh, thanks, Tanya. And he goes, he says to me, you have a New Zealand accent. He said, oh, that's so sweet. He says, now I love you even more, to wind me up a little bit, you know. And I went, oh, I said, do you love me even more because I'm a New Zealander or because I'm crazy? And he went, a little bit of both. But anyway, I thought that was gorgeous. But that's what I mean. He really is a sweet person, you know. But he doesn't suffer any fools. Like he really cut her down. This horrible schlumpfer of a woman. I mean, there's a difference between hamming and play acting and being silly to like fully like being sexually harassing, creepy. It was awful. You know. As they say, how does the song go? It's a fine line between pleasure and pain. So yeah. But anyway, I was thinking about that and having a chuckle to myself about the shenanigans. And then I was sitting here. I just watched a wonderful video by a Norwegian author called Bjørn Hansen, about walking in the forest and being one with nature to heal your body, mind and spirit, right? And I was thinking, because I'm reluctant to take my car on any long trips at the moment because it's due, well, I was told not to go for any long trips. It's due for front brakes and I don't have the money for it, so I'm sweating on that. So I was sitting here thinking, well, I'm trapped by poverty again in a kind of a hell loop existence where, you know, men approach me at the casino and I think they're keen and then they wander off with some other dame. There's a long history of that at the casino, which is it's really quite awful how I'm treated. So I was looking around at all my trees and thinking to myself, who needs a man or a partner, or anyone really, when you're surrounded by such beauty and magic and awe and yeah, it's like, what, me worry? There's my dog. Charlie's somewhere in the tree, but I can't see her. That's not Charlie, that's a little, I don't know what that is. I think it's an Indian myna bird. But I know Charlie's in there, I can hear her. I put her up in the tree. She loves to go up in the tree during the day. And my bamboo. So, you know, I was reminding myself, I was like, Tanya, you had a wonderful time last night and you're very, very tired. And sometimes you feel a little bit lonely and wish you had a partner. And then other times you just sit here like queen of your own domain, queen of your own destiny, being awesome, making jewellery when I can, when I have the motivation and the energy. At the moment I'm waiting. I bought the most wonderful but expensive little Smith torch, which I made a video about the other day, but I'm waiting to buy the gas. And then after I've bought the gas and I've set it all up, I'll have to wait a little bit longer till I can afford the silver sheet, and I'll get going then, making some silver pendants and perhaps rings. Exciting, really exciting. So I'm on the cusp, just on the tippy toes, on the edge of the precipice into a new paradigm with my jewellery, my silversmithing, taking a big bite into the pie of life because I don't quite have those skills yet, but I've got the equipment. So I'll just have to sit at home quietly and practice till I get good enough at it. And I'm excited about that. And I've been worried about my health, very, very worried about my health, particularly this morning because, my bladder seems to be better. But I was going into the ladies' toilets last night when I went to have a pee, and there was a woman probably in her mid to late 40s, like a bit younger than me. Very tall, very slim, very attractive looking woman. And she said to me, I was like, oh, you come out, because I was going in, she was trying to exit. And the ladies' toilet there goes like in a big L shape as you're entering. It's a bit of a bottleneck to get in when someone's leaving as you're going in, right? So I said, no, you go first. She goes, no, I'm waiting, she says. And she looked at me horrified. She said, I've just had a pee, but I still feel full. And she looked at me horrified. And I looked at her horrified, because I've been going through the same thing, right, in the last few weeks. Well, for me, it's been a couple of years, really, but the last few weeks it got particularly bad. So I looked at her because I thought, wow, there's another woman that's having the same problem, who's younger than I, and I don't know if she's had bladder surgery or anything like I had, but it just struck me as a bit horrifying that someone else was suffering my same condition. So I said to her, she said, oh, I think I'll just hold on to it. I said, no, don't. I said, go back and just try and, let it out, let it flow. She goes, no, I'll be right, I'll hold. But she was very pale, and I could see she was frightened, I thought, yeah, it's exactly how I feel. Frightened about my inner organs not doing the usual customary job, right? It is confronting, very confronting. So I was sitting here thinking, well, here we are, all feeling vulnerable and frail as we're getting older, us women, some of us with defunct bladder problems. And it occurred to me, I thought, that's a strange thing that I should meet someone with the same problem, Are they putting something in our water that's slowly poisoning us? One wonders. And yes, I know, I do get paranoid at times, but I've had a lot of things done to my body by medical malfeasance, so the way I look at it, our governments are capable of anything. I really firmly believe that. So I try not to launch into paranoia. I try to be pragmatic about things. It may just be the stress that we've all endured that has caused some women's bladders to start failing. Let's hope so, that's the only cause. So anyway, but Björn's video reminded me that I must sit in amongst the trees, in amongst the forest and nature. I have a forest behind me I could go in any time, but I don't usually go in there so much. It's a nice forest, but it's mainly eucalypts, and I find it a bit boring, to be honest. But I really enjoy when my daughter and my friend and I go together to Myala at Mount Glorious, but that's like, 40-minute to an hour drive from me, about an hour's drive from me, so it's a long way to go to just walk through the forest there. But it's a more of a rainforest, and it's got this massive big tree I call grandmother tree, and I always go and I always give her a bit of a pat and a bit of a hug and ask for blessings from the tree, because there's nothing more magical and powerful than an ancient tree who's been through many seasons and storms and changes in climate and has out-survived the axe, out-survived humanity. So sometimes when I feel particularly troubled, I go and visit grandmother tree and say, what do you think of this tree? And the answer is always the same. Just be one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Moses. So on that note, that's my story from today, the 21st of January 2023. And my little dog is focusing on something, watching something. What are you doing, Beauregard? being a good boy. He's lying in the shade. So, you know, although I'm utterly exhausted, life is not so bad. Goodbye from now. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, night, wherever you are on planet Earth or in the cosmos and the space-time continuum. Peace, shalom, lahitraot, see you later. Be safe and be at one with the gods of your understanding. God bless. Bye for now.